Hi everyone, welcome back. It's time for my Sephora haul. I went in store yesterday. I actually have two bags. I have a smaller bag and a bigger bag. I ended up having to go to Sephora at Kohl's to get something that we'll talk about in a minute, but we're gonna go through everything that I got and apply as much as I can to my face today. So that is today's video. I hope you're excited. These are just so much fun to sit down and film. I cannot wait. If you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on my channel. I would love for you to stick around and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and get into what I got. I mostly got makeup this time around, but I did get a few skincare products. One of them I do want to apply. So I got this by the brand Experiment. This is the Hydrating Barrier Serum. I have never tried anything from this brand. I think this is a newer brand to Sephora. It was in the section of the store. It's usually like right in the middle along the wall where they have like smaller brands and they have just a small collection of their products. This brand was there. So this has glycerin, polyglutamic acid, niacinamide, prickly pear, and bisabolol. I don't know how to say that, but it does say to apply this to damp skin, which I did my skincare a little while ago, so my skin is not damp. So let's spray my face with some of this. This is the Rhode Glazing Mist. And then let's try this out. So it's kind of interesting looking. It's blue, or at least it looks blue. I don't know if it actually is. I wanted to see how this compares to that Amazon serum I was telling you about in my favorites video. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what this is reminding me of. Yeah, so it's very similar. The Anua rice serum feels very similar to this. It's kind of like a tacky feeling, kind of like snail mucin. Oh yeah, this feels good. It does feel like the Anua one. I'm gonna put this everywhere. Under my eyes. Has a little bit of like a tacky feel to it, kind of like a primer would have. Oh yeah, I like this a lot. No scent. I don't smell anything. Okay, so it's been like 3 minutes and it's definitely kind of set on my skin, but do you see this like bounciness? It makes your skin look very juicy. So if you're into that, that's exactly what this does, and it does feel still slightly tacky. I'll let you know what I think once I use that some more, but I'm definitely liking the way it feels on my skin. All right, I have a few skincare products, like I said. I do have a new SPF. I've been meaning to buy this at Sephora, and I just always end up forgetting to get it when I'm in the store. But this is the new Beauty of Joseon Day Dew sunscreen. So I've tried Beauty of Joseon sunscreen before, the original one, the rice probiotic one. I may be getting the name wrong, but the one that's in the solid white tube. I've tried that before. In fact, I've repurchased that a few times, but I have not tried this one. This one is new. I think this is supposed to be a more radiant version of their SPF, so we're gonna try this today. This is SPF 50. This is a chemical sunscreen. I'm kind of in a phase right now where I'm like wanting to try every single sunscreen on the market. There was a few other sunscreens I was looking at. Like there's one from Innisfree. I think I'm saying that right. That I think that's also a Korean skincare brand. But I was looking at that one when I was in store, but I ended up going with this one because I know I like Beauty of Joseon. Oh wow, this feels good. Wow, this is a really nice texture for an SPF. Feels so like creamy, kind of like a serum-y texture. That feels really good. All right, so this is it after like 5-ish minutes. It doesn't feel as tacky as it did earlier, but you can see it's definitely giving the skin a lot of glow. So I would think this SPF would definitely be better for normal dry skin, but it feels incredible on the skin. I really like this. I hope it does well with makeup over the top. But let's talk about the other two skincare products I got quickly. Okay, these were not really on my radar, but a Sephora employee that I kind of became friends with when I was in the store yesterday told me that she loved these, that these were her holy grail skincare products. Of all the products in the store, specifically the Korean products. So I was like, you know what, you convinced me. So anyways, they're from this brand, AESTURA. I think that's how you say it, but it's the moisturizing cream, which I have heard of this one before. I've just never tried it. And then she also said this was the best like hyaluronic acid serum that she's tried ever. So this is the Hydro Cera-HA serum. And she says she uses these both every single day. So we're gonna try these out, see what we think. I was looking at reviews online of this brand and they seem to be pretty positive overall. So I'm very excited for this. So these were not on my radar at all, but my new friend, Riley at Sephora, told me that I needed them. So there we go. And the other thing that she influenced me on is a hair product. So we were talking, she came over to me and she said, can I see what's in your basket? Because I had accumulated quite a big basket at this point. And she came over to me. I don't know if this was a sales tactic or if she was just genuinely curious. I have no idea. But if it was a sales tactic, it worked on me like a charm. But so I was talking to her. We were going through what was in my basket and I had this product in there. And she said, you definitely need to get that. I'm a hairdresser and that's one of my favorite products. And it was this from Crown Affair. This is the leave-in conditioner. Now this smells incredible, first of all, but I've only tried one product from Crown Affair before, and that is their dry shampoo. And the dry shampoo is really, really good. I can't remember if I've mentioned it in a video before, but yes, that dry shampoo, it's on the more expensive side, but it's a great dry shampoo if you're looking for one. But that's the only thing I've tried from this brand. But I smelled this leave-in conditioner. It has a very light, clean smell. It kind of reminds me of the Orbe smell. If you've ever smelled Orbe hair products, they smell incredible. This kind of reminds me of that, but it's a little bit lighter. Anyway, I can't wait to try this, but she said she does hair and that was her other job besides working at Sephora, and that she uses this on her clients. All right, let's get into the makeup. So like I said, I have doubles of some of the categories, so we're not gonna be able to try everything, but let's start with this. So I did end up getting this. I kind of went back and forth on if I should get this or not, but this brand is very intriguing to me. This is the new m.ph Underpainting face palette, and I got the shade Light. There was also only one left of the shade Light, and something about me, if I'm looking at a product and there's only one left, you can just guarantee right there I'm gonna buy it. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this must be really good. That must be why there's only one left. Is anybody else like that? I do that every single time. Every single time. But this is the Underpainting palette. Now, I don't underpaint a ton. I will sometimes kind of play around with it if I feel like it. So this should be interesting. I might also, honestly, I might use this more as something to put over the top of a base product instead of underpainting with it, because I know I've seen Nikki LaRose use this a lot and she has underpainted with it, but she's also just used it on top of her base products. So I don't know how I'll use this exactly, but basically in here you get a color corrector, 2 highlights, a contour, or they say they're both contour. This one looks like more of a contour to me. And then this one is also contour, but it's a little bit warmer. I also got the brush. I wasn't going to, but then there was also only one brush left. So of course I got the brush. And this is the underpainting brush. So she has 2 brushes. There's this one and the cream blush brush, which is kind of interesting to me because she doesn't have cream blushes out yet. I think they're coming. Like, I think I've seen them sneak peeks on Instagram, but they're not out yet. But the brush is out. So this is what the brush looks like. So you get a larger end. It's still not very large. It's kind of a more dome-shaped, dense brush. And then this is like a pretty standard flat painter style brush that I'm assuming you use for the color corrector and the highlight probably, and this for the contour. So I do have these. I'll show you the other things I got that are similar though. I did also get the Huda color corrector. So this is not a new product, but she recently launched 2 new shades of this corrector. Now this used to be one of my favorites when this came out. I kind of quit using it though because the packaging was so bad. The packaging on the old one leaked everywhere. No matter what I did, even if I stored it like sitting upright, it still leaks everywhere every time you pull the wand out. So I'm hoping maybe this new packaging, they have fixed that problem. But this is one of the new shades in Peach Light. So there is a pink light and a peach light. The pink light was almost white to me, so I didn't get that one. But this is the peach light. And this looked like a good match for me. So it looks like maybe this packaging will be better. I'm hoping. Also, if you can hear screeching in the background, that is Mr. Woods with my mom. She's trying to get him to take a nap, and thus far he's not having it. So if you can hear that, that's what that is. But this is the shade Peach Light right here. This is a great formula. I just kind of quit using it and recommending it because the packaging was so bad, but I'm hoping maybe they fix that this time. So I do have the color corrector from Huda, but there's also a color corrector in this palette. I really want to use this palette, so I'm thinking the Huda one is going to have to be in the next video, but I wanted to share that I did get that to try out. And then I also got this. I told you I was going to get this in my recommendations video. This is the Too Faced Melting Bronzer in the shade Chocolate Mousse, which is what many of you told me I needed, because I have another shade that's, or the lightest shade, which is Milk Chocolate, but a lot of you told me that you have, oh yeah, this is a good shade, I can already tell. This formula, I actually think this was also the last one in this shade when I got it, but yeah, this formula is so creamy and buttery. It's so good. Yeah, this looks like a really good shade. So y'all did not lead me astray. So I do have that. I'm not going to use that because I've used that many times. And we have this palette to use, but I just wanted to show you. But let's go ahead and use this palette. So, all right, I'm kind of nervous about this because like I said, I don't underpaint often. Okay, so I'm going to start, well, no, actually, I think when I've seen her do it, she starts with this. So we're going to start with the color corrector down here. And I'm going to use the small end of the brush. Now this does look like a pretty light color corrector. So I'll have to see what I think about it once I try it. Yeah, it definitely is. If you watch my content, you know, one of the things I always say is you can't really use a color corrector that's too light if you have a lot of pretty deep blue or purple under the eyes or whatever color you have. Because if you do, the discoloration will kind of just show right through. So this cream is very thin. Like it's a very, very, kind of like a see-through feeling cream. That probably doesn't make sense, but just, it's not a thick cream at all. So we'll start with that. Then let's take, I guess we'll start with the lighter one. This one right here that's a little bit more gray looking. And I'm gonna take the other end. Now I have no idea how much to apply of this, so. Yeah, these creams are, I'm trying to think of a cream formula that reminds me of this. Like the color corrector, if you've tried the Sigma color correctors, the ones that come in the duos, that's kind of what this formula reminds me of. It's just a very thin feeling cream. It's not anywhere as thick as like a typical contour cream like the Westman Atelier Face Trace or the Fenty Matchsticks. Those are a thicker feeling cream. This is a very like balmy feeling cream, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm placing that kind of around the perimeters, and it's kind of interesting to me. It looks very gray in the pan, but then like it looks pretty warm to me on my skin. But it definitely looks pretty cool toned right there. Okay, so I have no idea how much of this to apply. So when you underpaint, you definitely have to trust the process. Don't freak out because it does look really scary when you first do it because you have nothing else on your face. I don't know if I'm going in too like light-handed with this or not. All right, I'm gonna flip the smaller end of the brush and I'm gonna take, I think this one right here. This one looks really light to me, so I'm gonna start with the one above it. And I'm gonna do a little bit there, a little bit there. And then I guess I'll dip in to the lighter one too. I'm gonna put a little bit of the brighter one right here, right in this inner part of the cheek, underneath the under eye. Okay. Now I'm gonna take a 115 brush from BK Beauty, and I'm not gonna try to like perfect the face, but I'm gonna just slightly kind of blend these creams in. So the idea with underpainting is supposed to be that you use less product because you're basically applying structure, or you're creating structure to the face before you apply a base product. So then the idea is you will use less of a base product, I think. So that's kind of the idea. Now, I will say I do think underpainting is easier if you have perfect skin. If you don't have perfect skin, then I do think it takes a little bit more effort because you have other things going on your face. So typically if you apply makeup like you normally do, you apply base product to kind of conceal that, and then you use concealer and color corrector, and then you start adding structure to your face. This is kind of doing the opposite where, you know, you can do that, but you have some other things going on your face. Like I don't have an even skin tone, so that's gonna poke through all the underpainting. But we'll see. Maybe the base product will fix that. But there it is, kind of all blended out. I will say the creams are so balmy and creamy that they're very easily blendable. So I would say this is definitely gonna be for people that love kind of a no makeup look, or you just like that kind of clean girl aesthetic. I would say that's what you're gonna get with this palette. I don't think if you're into like full makeup, full glam, you're gonna get that with these creams because they're so sheer. All right, so I actually didn't buy a foundation, believe it or not. Did I? No, I didn't buy a foundation. I did buy a new concealer. So what I'm thinking is we're gonna use this concealer as the complexion product because I do think this has some coverage to it. This is from Makeup Forever. It's the HD Skin Full Cover Concealer. Have I been living under a rock? Because I didn't know that this was a thing. I was looking at the Makeup Forever section and I saw this, like the display with the testers, and I was thinking, okay, I guess I forgot about this, that this had come out. I don't know, but I haven't seen anyone use it. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. But this is the shade 1R12. So let's use this as our base product today and see what we think. Normally, I think you're supposed to use like a foundation or skin tint and apply it, but instead of doing that, I'm gonna do this, I think. So I'm gonna do this in the areas where we need some more coverage and we didn't really apply much of the m.ph palette. All right, I'm gonna start there. I think this has quite a bit of coverage, so we'll start with that. And I'm gonna blend that in with the same BK Beauty 115. I haven't heard anyone talk about this concealer either. When I saw it, I was like, I guess maybe I remember seeing like a sneak peek of it on Instagram at some point, but then I don't know. I guess it kind of went under the radar because I definitely have not noticed it in store. I do think that shade in the concealer is actually a very good shade match for me. I kind of thought that in the store too when I was swatching them. I went with one of the R tones because I do find typically Makeup Forever runs kind of warm. Even the neutral shades I find a lot of times run a little bit warm. So that's why I went with the rosy shade. Okay, now I'm gonna apply some of the concealer under my eyes. I did watch one of Mary's tutorials on using this palette. I don't know if she usually uses concealer over the highlights or if you're supposed to use the highlights in place of concealer. I'm not really sure. But I'm gonna use some concealer because that color corrector is definitely on the more sheer side and it's pretty light. It doesn't have a ton of color correcting pigment in it. So if you have very dark circles, I don't know that that's going to be enough for you. That's the thing about color correctors that's kind of tricky is if you have actual discoloration under your eyes, you kind of need a corrector that has some pigment in it because otherwise you're not really correcting it. It just kind of shows through. So I don't know. I have to play around a little bit with this palette. But y'all, when I was in Sephora yesterday, so I went at like, I guess it was around 1 o'clock. So Sephora had only been open for like 3 hours and it was so busy. I mean, it was unbelievably busy for like the middle of the day on a Friday. People were grabbing stuff, like it was insane, the amount of people that were in there. And I assume everybody in there was Rouge. Otherwise, I don't think they would be shopping today or Friday. But it just amazed me. All right, so there's everything kind of blended in. It looks pretty nice on my skin. The creams are very nice. They're not incredibly dewy looking. Sometimes cream products can look like a lot on the skin. This looks very seamless, like very, just like one with the skin, not like cream sitting on top of the skin. The texture kind of reminds me of the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. That's kind of what these creams are reminding me of. So if you like that product, these creams feel very similar to that. But I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I have to, again, kind of play around with it a little bit, I think. We haven't used this cream yet. I think I might take a little bit of that one with the larger end of the brush. And I'm gonna add a little bit of that. I don't wanna add too much, but I wanna add just a little bit, kind of in the back of the cheekbone back here. Did any of y'all try the m.ph palette? I'm very curious. If you did, let me know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I was looking at the m.ph display, which is so pretty also in Sephora, and I really wanted the lip liners, but they were all sold out. All the colors I was interested in, they were all out of stock. So I didn't end up getting any of those. I'm hoping maybe they'll come back online because they're also out of stock online. I'm gonna stop there. Actually, it looks pretty good on my skin. It looks very natural. So you can see a lot of my skin kind of peeking through it. So that's why I do think this is gonna be more for like a makeup minimalist, or not necessarily a minimalist, but not someone looking for intense structure. This is more of structure, but in a softer, more wearable way, if that makes sense. But it does, the creams look beautiful on my skin. Okay, let's do some blush now. Okay, this is where we're gonna get into why I had to go to Sephora at Kohl's, because when I got to Sephora, you know how when you go in Sephora, they have the new stuff in the front on the tables? Well, one of the main things I wanted were the Patrick Ta blush duos. They were all gone already. All of them were gone. They had the testers there, but no blushes. So I was asking my friend Riley that I made, and she said that a lot of the employees had bought the ones that they got and they didn't get very many. But she was like, you should go to Sephora at Kohl's because they got those sets also. So I did. And they did have them, but they did not have very many. And yesterday was the first day of the sale. So I'm hoping they're gonna restock these. Last time I looked on regular Sephora, they were both out of stock online. but they were in stock online at Kohl's Sephora. So if you didn't know, you can also shop Sephora on the Kohl's website. Sometimes you can find things on there that are sold out at regular Sephora. So I'll link these for you there. Hopefully they're still in stock by the time this video goes up. Okay, y'all know me, I'm a Patrick Ta fan. Okay, so I bought both because I'm me. But let's open these up. So there's one that's supposed to be cooler and a little bit lighter, and one that's supposed to be deeper and a little bit warmer. So this is the lighter one. So these are in pink packaging, like, well, they're all in pink packaging, but this is like a darker pink. And this is the first shade. So this is Out of Office, which to me kind of looks like a combination between She Goes to the Gym and Just Enough. It looks like kind of those two mixed together to me, just looking at it. The cream there is definitely not as pigmented as the regular creams. It's more like balmy feeling. So there is the lighter one on my finger. But yeah, the cream is definitely more of like a balmy texture. Yeah, much more sheer than his normal one. So that is the cream right there, and that is the powder. Let me see if I can kind of build the cream up at all. So this cream kind of feels like, if you remember, like 2 years ago for the holidays, they came out with that face or that blush palette that had the blushes, and then it had 4 glitter toppers in it. The blushes in there kind of had a different texture to them, and that's kind of what this feels like. It's very, very balmy and more on the sheer side. But that is Out of Office. And then this is On Holiday, which is the deeper one, which this kind of looks like a more muted She's Wanted, especially the cream. The cream definitely kind of looks like She's Wanted. The powder looks a little bit more like mauve-y than She's Wanted. So there they are. So we've got On Holiday, powder and cream, and Out of Office, powder and cream. So the On Holiday color has some more pigment to it, but it's still not like intense pigment. The powders look to be pretty pigmented like his regular ones, but the creams are definitely more sheer. Okay, I'll swatch the glosses also. Okay, they have a peppermint smell. So his formula like this that he already has, the volumizing glosses, they don't have shimmer in them, but his Major Shine glosses, one of his original products, those do have shimmer in them. And those are actually one of my favorite glosses from him. I've talked about them before. That is the gloss with Out of Office, and that is the gloss for On Holiday. So they're not super pigmented. They do have shimmer in them. Definitely not a huge, huge difference though in terms of the color. This one just has a little bit more of like a rosy hue to it. And I also got another blush. We're probably not going to use this one today, but I'll show you. I got this from Makeup Forever. This is the Artist Crayon in Wherever Walnut. So I swatched the tester of this when I was in the store, and this looked like a really good like bronzer for my skin tone. It looked like I could use it in place of bronzer and blush, but that is Wherever Walnut right there. So these are pretty creamy as well. They are more on the matte side though, as you can see. But this is kind of, it has a little bit of pink to it, but it's almost like a rosy terracotta kind of color. All right, let's apply the blush. So we're gonna start with the lighter one, which is Out of Office. I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 109, and I'm gonna start with the cream and apply. Okay, yeah, so this formula is definitely less pigmented. You know what this actually does kind of remind me of now that I think about it? His cream highlighters. This cream kind of feels like the highlighter cream. It's like more balmy, more like slippy. I definitely think it's slightly cool toned, but I wouldn't say that it's like ultra cool toned. It's a pretty color though. I mean, if you think his regular blushes are too pigmented, you might like this because it's definitely on the softer side. It does kind of remind me of Just Enough, which is a really soft kind of like baby pink. And then She Goes to the Gym. It's like right in between those two. All right, we have to use a little bit of this one. I'm gonna take the cream again, and I'm gonna put that kind of on the back of my cheek. Focus it there at least, and then I'll kind of bring it a little bit forward. All right, so obviously we've got them both on, so it's gonna be kind of hard to differentiate between the two, but the tones are really beautiful. They're just more sheer. So if you don't like a sheer blush, I would probably not get these. All right, before we move on, I'm going to go back into this Mary Phillips palette, and I'm gonna take this light shade right here, and I'm gonna use the small end of the brush again. And I'm gonna take a little bit of that, and I'm gonna kind of go underneath the bronzer right here, because I feel like I need to kind of clean it up a little bit. I feel like I went down a little bit low. And then I'm just gonna go back to my foundation brush and kind of blend it in. Okay, before we move on, I am gonna take a little bit of powder. I actually did not buy a new powder. So I'm just gonna use the powder that I have out right now, which is the one from Cali Ray. And I'm gonna lightly use a little bit of this in the T-zone. I don't feel like I look like overly shiny, so I don't feel like I need a ton of it, but I wanna use a little bit before we move on. I did get a powder bronzer that I'm really excited about. This has been on my wish list since it was released, and it's the Givenchy Prisme Libre bronzer powder in the shade 001. So this is in the same packaging as the pressed powder from Givenchy. It does come with a little brush, and then this is what the powder looks like. So you get like a warmer looking color, a cooler color, and then these kind of look like highlight, or yeah, that one looks like a highlighter, and that looks kind of like a finishing powder. So you get a little bit of all of them, but this looks really pretty, so I'm excited about this. I'm gonna use this brush. This is a number 96 from Sephora. It's actually a blush brush, but we're gonna use it for this. So I'm gonna kind of get some of all 4 shades, and then I'm gonna kind of tap it off on my hand, and then kind of go. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to see a lot from this just because we have that m.ph palette underneath. So this is definitely more on the soft side in terms of pigment. So if you like that, or you're like a lighter skin tone, you might really like this. It looks very smooth going on over those creams though. I wonder if this would be pretty as eyeshadow. I have a feeling it would. Okay, I'm gonna take some down my neck also. Yeah, so that powder looks very like airbrushed on my skin. I thought it was gonna look more radiant, but it actually looks very smooth and kind of almost like a blurred finish over those creams, which is really pretty. Let me swatch this bronzer for you actually, in case you were wondering what it looks like. I'm gonna swatch them all together. It's very, very light. So that's it right there. I don't know how much you'll be able to see. But honestly, I kind of like bronzers that are light like that for my skin tone, because something I run into all the time with bronzers is that they're too pigmented and then they look like way too much, especially if you have cream on already underneath. So I'm kind of excited about this. I'm definitely going to want to use this without cream underneath just so I can see. So we'll probably do that in the next video that you see. But it does look nice over that m.ph palette. All right, I do I do have another powder blush that I bought. This I almost put back. I almost put this back. But then at the end, I ended up keeping it because I already have several of these, but this is the Make Me Blush from YSL in the matte formula in the shade Hot Mauve number 23. So this is one of the newer shades that was released a few months ago. And I almost put it back because I thought, well, it looks kind of similar to number 6, which is Rose Haze, but actually Rose Haze is not, it's a little bit more peachy than this. This is more muted. It's more of like a rosy mauve. So that is Hot Mauve right there. But that's why I ended up talking myself into keeping it, because why not? Now, should I use this or should I use the powder from Patrick Ta? I guess maybe we should use Patrick Ta. I'm gonna go into the powder in Out of Office, and I'm just gonna lightly tap this on over. I did go on the palm of my hand and kind of tap off before going on my face, because we've already got 2 cream blushes on. You do get a lot of pigment. It's very interesting to me. The powders are much more pigmented in these duos than the creams. And usually in the regular duos, both formulas are very pigmented, but this one, it's mainly just the powders that are super pigmented. Okay, let's fill in my brows really quickly. I don't have a new brow product other than I did restock my Benefit 24-hour brow setter, which I'm not going to open because I'm trying to use up the one I have open, but I did end up buying that. But that's all I got for the brows. So I'm going to quickly fill them in with my m.ph brow powder, and I'll be back. Okay, did my brows, primed my eyes with a little bit of that Makeup Forever concealer, and now we're going to move into the eyes. So I did get the Patrick Ta Major Dimension Essential Artistry Edit eyeshadow palette in the shade Light. I knew I was going to get this, so I held off on getting it when it came out a few weeks ago. I do love the Patrick Ta eyeshadow formula. So you get 6 matte shades in here that all look really pretty. So I'll go ahead and swatch these for you. I do have his all matte palette, the Major Dimension 3. That came out a few years ago, and I like that palette a lot. The shadows in there are very smooth, very buttery, but I really like this because overall the tones look very neutral. Like they're obviously all neutral colors, but like the undertones look to be pretty neutral to me. I guess maybe lean like slightly warm. So there are the swatches of the Patrick Ta palette. I would say these are a little bit more pigmented than the Makeup by Mario mattes, if you're wondering about the two. Similar in terms of like blendability and ease of use, but I do think Makeup by Mario is slightly less pigmented than these. I'm going to take this shade right here, this kind of pinky beigey color. Honestly, this looks like a really good like one and done powder shadow to me. So I'm going to take that really everywhere. So I'm going to take it on the lid and then bring it up into the crease as well. Yeah, so that's a really good one and done. Like that by itself, I love. But you can see his formula is really nice. Very, very easy to use. Yeah, okay, I love that color. That is a perfect eyeshadow color to me, and it is perfectly neutral. It's not super cool, not super warm. It's like right in between. And yeah, the blendability on this, 10 out of 10. Okay, I'm gonna use whatever is on that brush and just go on the lower lash line as well. All right, I'm gonna switch to a Rephr 01, and I'm going to take this one. This is kind of like a bone color. All right, so I'm going to take that shade, and I'm just going to kind of put this on this inner part of my lid. So like right here, kind of where the tear duct is, and then bring it over. I know these shadows are like super basic, but these are the kinds of palettes that get me so excited. I love stuff like this. Okay, now I'm gonna take the lightest shade, so this cream right here, and I'm gonna use that same brush I was just using, and I'm gonna put just a little bit of that shade right under the arch of my brow right here, just a little bit. These shadows do have some kick up in the pan, just so you know, in case that bugs you. All right, then I'm gonna take a little bit of this color, which this is kind of the same tone as that, or the same depth, I should say, as that first color. This one is a little bit warmer looking. It's not quite as like beigey as the other one. I'm gonna take that on the very outer corner and apply a little bit of that there. But I'm using like the very tip of the bristles here. So I'm not using a lot of pressure at all, just a tiny little bit. Then I'm gonna go back to the first brush that we used, and I'm just gonna kind of keep my eye open and blend all around the edges. Although these shadows are blending really nicely, so we don't really need to diffuse a whole lot, honestly. Now I'm gonna switch to the N21 from BK Beauty, and I'm gonna mix the two shades on the bottom. So I'm just gonna kind of dip into both, and I'm gonna kind of go and tap it off a little on my hand. And then I'm just gonna use that tiny little pencil brush and kind of line the upper lash line with this. But even the darkest shade in here is still on the soft side, so you're not gonna get like really deep intensity in terms of like deepening up an eye look. With the light palette, at least. I don't have the other ones. Then I'm gonna take the Rephr 01 again and just kind of feather over it just a little bit. And again, I'm just using I'm using basically zero pressure. Honestly, these mattes in this palette feel even like more smooth to me than even his larger palettes. I thought it was exactly the same when I was swatching them, but I actually think this formula might be like a little bit different. All right, then I'm just gonna take whatever is on that little pencil brush, which at this point I don't think is very much, but I'm gonna take a little bit of whatever's on there in the very outer portion of the lower lash line. And that's probably it for this palette. So first impression of this is very good. I have no notes. Love the colors, the formula, the blendability, all of it. I could see myself reaching for this daily. I also got one of his new shadow duos. This is another thing I knew I was gonna get during the sale, so I purposely didn't buy it a few weeks ago when they came out. But this is his duo in the shade In Your Dreams, and y'all, look at this. This looks like the perfect neutral topper to me. So I have 3 of his original ones. I mean, look at that. So those are the 2 swatches there. So pretty. One is more like a traditional champagne, I would say, and this one's a little bit icier. I have Talked to My Team, Still at the Club, and We Need Better Lighting in the original ones. This whole makeup look doesn't really need any shimmer because we've kind of got a very natural looking complexion going on, but I can't not use these. So I'm gonna go in with this one, the bottom one, and I'm gonna use that Rephr brush and just kind of do like a scattered bit of it. This is how I always see him apply these. He doesn't ever really use them opaquely. He uses like a kind of like a dusting method like this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this was like a no-brainer for me because that's the kind of thing that I love. Okay, one more eye product that I got. We're probably not going to use this today, but I'll show you. I did get one of the new Merit Solo Shadow Sheen eye colors. I gotta say, when I saw these in store, none of the colors really spoke to me that much. This was the one that did, and it's just a very basic, neutral, kind of like a pearlescent, slightly pink color. The bronzy shades, I wasn't a huge fan of. I really wanted like a more neutral looking brown, but most of them were very warm looking to me. So I went with this one. This is Glacé, which is very, very neutral. It would go with pretty much everything. And it does look really pretty in the swatch. These are much creamier in terms of the formula than the original Solo shadows are, if you're curious. I was gonna say I'm not gonna use any of this, but I think I will just pop a little bit like in this inner part of the eye. But yeah, these are definitely a little bit more creamy than the original Solo shadows. Nice. I mean, you can definitely see it there. It's very pretty. I mean, this is a really nice neutral kind of pearlescent cream shadow, so it'll go with pretty much anything. It's pretty. I'll use this again on its own so you can see it a little bit better, but I did get that as well. I did not get a new mascara. So I'm going to do my eyes or do my mascara, and then I'll be back and we'll finish up with lips. All right, finally for lips. Of course, I have multiple lip liners. Would it even be a Blair video if we didn't have more than one lip liner? So the first one that I picked out is this one from Sephora collection. This is their new 8-hour colorful transfer proof lip liner. So in like the last year, they got rid of their old lip liners, which I don't think was a popular decision, and they relaunched them. They got rid of all the different shades and they renamed them. This is the shade Cinnamon Brown, which looks like that. I thought that looked like a really pretty kind of like a rosy brown, and I haven't tried the new formula, so I did get that one. But I also got the Hung Van Gogh Longwear lip liner, and I got this one in the shade Fill It In. These, I swatched all the colors of these, and most of the colors I wasn't a huge fan of. This was the one that I did like, so I'll swatch this next to it. I think this one's a little bit, it's actually similar. I think this one's a little bit cooler toned maybe. So that's Fill It In, and that's Cinnamon Brown from Sephora collection. Fill It In, I think, is a little bit cooler, a little bit taupier. This one from Sephora has more of like a rosiness to it. And then the last one that I got is from Kosas. This is their Hot Liner lip liner in the shade Beyond. This color has been on my wish list for quite a while, and I finally picked it up. I think this is gonna be, y'all are gonna laugh at me when you see this. Can you tell that I have a type? Okay, so we've got Beyond on the top, Hung Van Gogh Fill It In, and Sephora collection Cinnamon Brown. So I think Beyond is the most pink of the three. Fill It In is more of a taupey mauve, and then Cinnamon Brown is like a rosy brown. I kind of want to use Cinnamon Brown. No, let's use Hung Van Gogh. I'm really curious about this formula. So this is a twist up formula. Oh, okay, that's pretty. That's like a perfect contour shade for my lips. Very, very creamy formula. It really like glides. Yeah, that's nice. That's a very good color, actually. I wasn't sure. I almost put this back and didn't get it. But then, I don't know, something was telling me I should try it. So that is very pretty, actually. Let's take a little bit of Cinnamon Brown, and I'm gonna kind of fill in the lip with this. Oh yeah, those two actually look really good together. I'm not gonna put the Kosas one on because that'd probably be too much, but those two are very nice. The Sephora one is kind of hard to tell because I applied it over the Hung Van Gogh one. So I'll have to keep wearing that. Or we'll have to do another video trying some stuff out because like I said, I couldn't try everything in this video. but I do like the colors of those too. Okay, I did get one lip, I guess like a balmy type product. This is the YSL Love Shine Candy Glow. So I have a few of these, but I don't have this one. This color, when I swatched it, really spoke to me. It's kind of, it goes really well with all these lip liners actually. So that's it there. It's kind of like a berry, but a very sheer, kind of like a brown berry. This is the shade 5B. Let's put this on top. Oh yeah. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. It goes so perfectly too. Okay, the only thing we have left for lips is, of course, we have the Patrick Ta glosses. We don't really need any, but I gotta use one of them. I'm gonna take a little bit of the lighter one. So this one has a little bit of pink shimmer in it if you look close. So this definitely gives you that like wet, very glossy effect. They do smell like mint if you don't like that. They have a very strong minty smell, and it doesn't feel plumping. I think he did say these are not plumping. It doesn't say that they are. All right, y'all, that's it for the makeup. One more thing I did get that I forgot to show is this. So I kind of talked about this in my favorites video a few videos back, but I did get the Grande Lash Serum, but this is the new one. It's the sensitive version. So it's a peptide lash enhancing serum. So there are no prostaglandins in here. And I was gonna repurchase my Australian Lash Therapy, but a lot of you let me know that when I linked it in that video, it's actually out of stock right now. So I can't repurchase that one right now. So Grande Lash it is. So we're gonna try this time and hope that this works. So I did pick this up as well. One more thing, I did get this. This is a really good set for a gift or for yourself, but this is the Say Glowy Super Gel Mini Trio. So the Say Glowy Super Gel is a very popular product, and you get 3 of them in here. You get Rose Glow, Sun Glow, and Star Glow, and they're little minis. I like this product. I used to own it a few years ago, and I wanted to get it again, but I figured I'd just get the minis because you don't need a lot of this and they last for a pretty long time. The full size is huge. So I just got the mini case or the mini set since I don't really need the big bottle. All right, that is everything. That was a lot, but that was so much fun. So much fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's kind of go through my thoughts on these products so far. Obviously, these are just first impressions. I'll have to keep using them and I'll update you in a future video. But overall, the skincare products that we used, so the Experiment Serum, I put it away down there, but the Experiment Serum I really like so far. I think that's going to be a really good hydrating prep product. Very similar to my Anua Rice Serum that I also love. So I kind of want to keep using it and compare the two, but I'm excited about that. I'm also really excited about the Beauty of Joseon SPF because all the products applied beautifully over that and it felt incredible on my skin. I love the texture. There's no tint, there was no smell, it didn't sting or burn or anything. So I'm excited about that too. So those I think are both going to be winners. Now moving into the makeup, the m.ph palette. Okay, this is kind of a cool palette, I gotta be honest. I wasn't sure when I first started using it what I was going to think of it, and I do think this is one of those things you do kind of have to practice with. Underpainting in general I think takes a little bit of practice, especially if you don't do it a lot, but I do kind of like this. I'm kind of into this. I really want to keep testing it. I also do want to try it over my makeup and see what I think about that. But I really want to play around with this some more. I think this is going to be something that I might really like once I figure out the way I really like to use it. But I do think this is definitely going to be for someone that likes that no makeup or the very clean, I'm wearing makeup but not really kind of look. Because these are just very balmy, creamy kind of sheer feeling creams. So you're gonna get the sculpting, that's the whole point of the palette, but it's a very soft sculpt. So if you like the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, if you like that texture and that overall effect that you get from that product, I think you would probably like this. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm gonna keep testing it, but I gotta say, once I got everything on my face, it looks pretty good. It does. And the brush, I don't think you have to buy the brush, but I just did since it was right there and I wanted to be able to tell you what I thought of it. I mean, it's a great brush for these specific creams. I'm sure you do have something at home that you could make work with this, but I do enjoy the brush. What else did we use? Oh, okay, the Makeup Forever concealer. Pleasantly surprised by this. I really want to keep using it, but this is a great shade in 1R12. More on the matte side, but paired with something glowier underneath. Sometimes I do want more of a matte concealer. It has a lot of coverage for concealer, which I personally love, and it looks great with those cream products. So this I'm going to keep using and I'll let you know, but I have very high hopes for this. The Givenchy bronzer. I like this so far. Like I said, I need to see it without all those creams on underneath to see what I really think. But it's definitely a very soft, kind of diffused looking powder bronzer. So if you like something like that, you might like this. This is the lightest shade, so that's one of the reasons why it looks on the lighter side. But I have high hopes, and I didn't use it on my eyes, but I kind of want to put a little bit of this on my eyes because I feel like this would be pretty as eyeshadow. I'm going to take that brush we used in the crease, and I'm going to put a little bit of all those colors in the crease. Yeah, I could just tell this is also going to be a beautiful eyeshadow. Very soft and diffused. Kind of reminds me of like the Hourglass bronzers. Very similar formula to that. It does have the strong Givenchy smell. I didn't say that earlier, but it does, so keep that in mind. But I will keep using this. We'll use it again in another video and I'll let you know. Moving into the eyes, one of my favorite things from this video is the palette, honestly, because I can already tell you I'm gonna reach for this. I'm gonna use all of these colors. I can see myself hitting pan on all 4 of these. I love the colors, very soft, very neutral, very, very, very easy to blend. Very easy to blend. You really don't have to blend much at all because they kind of blend themselves as you're applying them. But yeah, this is 10 out of 10 for me. Obviously, it's just a matte neutral palette, but that's personally what I love. Y'all know me. I get very excited for these very boring looking palettes. So I can't wait. I'm excited about this. One of my favorite things that I tried is that palette, and then this from Patrick Ta. I mean, this I absolutely love. Like, look how pretty it is if you apply it kind of like with a fluffy brush like I did. It gives you that kind of Urban Decay Space Cowboy kind of look, that scattered glitter effect. That's what you get with this. And we do have a little bit of the Merit shadow on the inner corner, but this was like a no-brainer purchase for me. So really happy with that. The Merit shadow, I want to use this on its own so I can really see. So I can't really comment much on this, but the shade and the way it looked on this inner part of the eye is really pretty. And then the lip products. Okay, pleasantly surprised by the Hung Bango liner and Fill It In. Very, very pretty. Perfect cool toned contour type of color for my lips. It really goes well with the natural tone of my lips. So this is good. Now, I don't know about longevity yet because this is my first time trying it, but the application was easy. It just glided on, very creamy, very smooth, but not to the point where it felt like it would move around at all. So this I have high hopes for, and I also love the color of this in Cinnamon Brown. I want to obviously wear this on its own to see if it actually is transfer proof, because it does say 8-hour transfer proof lip liner. So I don't know, but it looks great as a lip color in the middle. So I'm excited for that. We did not really use the Kosas lip liner in Beyond, so I don't know about that. This is a beautiful color that goes beautifully with those liners. Love this. So I'm happy with this color. Perfect color for fall. This is a very sheer, balmy, shiny kind of lip product. So you don't get a ton of color, but you get a little bit. It's really, really pretty. And then with the gloss on top, I mean, the gloss looks really good. That whole lip combo, I love. I love. Obviously, we've got 4 things on the lips, so, you know, is that necessary? No, but I wanted to try as much as possible. Oh, the Patrick Ta blushes. Okay, I like these. I'm glad that I did go hunt them down at Kohl's, because y'all know that was bothering me that I couldn't get those Patrick Ta blush duos. But keep in mind, the formula on the cream is definitely a little bit different than his original cream. It just has more of a sheerness to it. There's just not as much pigment in it. It's very creamy, and it feels, and like in the formula itself, it feels like the original ones, but it's just more balmy, more sheer. So if you're looking for a lot of pigment, I would not get the holiday ones. I would get one of his original ones. But I mean, they're beautiful, and I do really like the colors. I will say, I don't think it's extremely cool toned on my skin tone. I would say it pulls kind of neutral, but I do like it. I enjoy it. Now, if you have a bunch of Patrick Ta blushes, do I think you like have to have this? No, but y'all know me. I'm a collector, and I don't miss out on Patrick Ta launches, so I like them. If you're interested in them, you're probably going to have to get them either in store at Kohl's or online at Sephora at Kohl's. So I'll link them for you if they're still available when this goes up. Hopefully they are. But I think that's everything for today. I know that was a lot. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me, playing with some new stuff. It's always so much fun, and these videos are so much fun. So let me know if you've purchased anything. I would love to know what you got. If you're going to try any of these things that I got, let me know. I will list and link everything for you as well in YouTube shopping and in the description box. And please keep in mind, if you do shop through any of my links, I do make a commission that supports me and my channel. So thank you so much to those of you that do that. It really does make a difference, and it really helps me out. So thank you so much. And if you're new, I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you're following me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you. Bye.